Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, we've all been hearing many voices today about this bill, but I rise to speak against Senate Bill 233 because I believe investing in our public education is the single most important thing we can do to improve the lives of all Georgians. I urge everyone to consider voting for three main reasons. Number one, this bill takes public funds and hands them over to private entities without accountability that protects parents and kids. There's no getting around that. We've talked a lot about the Hope Scholarship, a smart investment in our students. And this bill uses the same term, scholarship. But do not be fooled. This is not a scholarship program using new funds as with the lottery. In this bill, taxpayer dollars are deducted from our local public schools' QBE allocations. That's where they're coming from, and they are handed out to private entities. This bill proposes a $6,500 taxpayer-funded private school tuition subsidy. The average full-time equivalent per middle school student allocation in Georgia is about $2,900. In this bill, we're giving twice that much money to private schools and to homeschoolers, twice as much than our public schools get for that same child. And even more alarming is the fact that opting out of public education means participating parents will also forgo protections for students with disabilities, background checks for teachers, school accreditation, and they have very little assurance that the private school they've selected will even accept their child or will be a viable program. This bill lacks oversight, as the new commission is not required to report the demographics of students at the individual participating schools, the assessment results, attendance, course completion, or even high school graduation rates. An itemized list of expenditures approved by, is not required either from the Parent Review Committee. Number two, this bill dilutes funding for our local public schools who are already trying to make up for 30 years of underfunded budgets. Proponents of this bill have said local school districts won't lose money because the money is following the child. That is simply not true. Each district would receive $6,500 less per student in their allocated QBE funds. There's no cap to the number of students who can participate, no cap for family, and no cap on the length of the voucher program. It could be used for 12 years for each student for a whopping $78,000 per child. Did y'all hear that? Each child, each family could get $78,000 for their child. That is coming from our public school budgets. Wealthy districts are hurt less than poor, but all public schools will lose state money to the tune of about $210 million sucked out of our public schools budgets annually. And we're now already seeing the catastrophic results from taking more than $11 billion from our public schools in the last 30 years. I'm here to tell you $30 million is not fully funding public school in any way, shape, or form. And lastly, and no one has talked about this much yet, I think this is absolutely critical. Number three, voucher programs are known to decrease student outcomes. They decrease student outcomes. That's the intention of this program, right? To improve our students' education. But the reality is that vouchers are not a new, brilliant idea. They've been tried in other states. And when they have, they're proven to actually decrease achievement. That's right, subsidizing private school does not improve student outcomes, and in the long-term studies that have been conducted, has actually decreased the outcomes. Repeated studies of voucher programs across the country show that vouchers result in worse test programs in Milwaukee, Cleveland, the District of Columbia, and they found that students who received vouchers showed no improvement in reading or math over those not in the program. Other studies conducted by Fordham University, the U.S. Department of Education, the Brookings Institute, and others show long-term voucher programs cause a decline in academic achievement that rivals or even exceeds those caused by natural disasters, including the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't know if y'all are hearing this, but after aggregating the test scores for voucher participants in Indiana, Louisiana, Ohio, Washington, one of these research described the results as some of the biggest drops we've ever seen in test scores in the research community. the worst scores. We are advocating for a change for innovation, but I don't think reduced outcomes is the change we're looking for. Rather than voting for this bill, we could do new things. Instead, unite and invest in fully funding pre-K and kindergarten. Research shows that actually does improve our outcomes. Providing for professional salaries to attract and retrain quality teachers. You want to get to a lower classroom ratio? Let's hire some more teachers. Funding literacy curriculum to improve our embarrassing 42nd ranking this year, and increase professional learning for educators and fund our high-quality curriculum. This bill does not diminish the rights of parents to send their kids to the schools of their choice. They can still do that. But it does, in fact, diminish our public schools. And I have to say, this afternoon, it has been quite rich to hear talk about the importance of choice. But our choice is to fund education for all kids, not just some. And as the great-granddaughter of 2 public school teachers, the granddaughter of a Cobb County public school teacher for more than 20 years, and the daughter of a high school chemistry teacher, I urge you to vote no on Senate Bill 233. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the well.